Welcome to the Cal Park Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and with me is my co-host, Jason, calling in for the Back Cave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
What to do, man? It's Tuesday again, so you know what that means. It's time for us to sit down, get into another episode of the podcast to hear the Cowpot Bros. So, hey, man, I'm feeling it. It's the Tuesday after the holiday weekend, so feeling good from that. Good to have it past us. Hopefully, you had a good holiday yourself. Hopefully, everyone that's listening to us did as well. Hey, man, we got three appropriate topics for this week. What? What was I looking for? What?
Nothing.
I said appropriate topics, sir. You know what that means. You know what appropriate means. Let's get into it.
Thank you for listening. This is episode 33 of the Cal Park Bros podcast. For the uninitiated, Cal Park Bros is the podcast to hear. We are a weekly podcast for fans of culture, current events, sports, life, and entertainment.
And as always, we are your hosts, Terrence and Jason. And every single Thursday, we bring to you a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
And folks, you can't forget this. For more Cowpart Bros content, make sure you connect with us on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok under the handle Cowpart Bros or Cowpart Bros Podcast for more behind the scenes of the Cowpart Bros show and just to engage with us every single day. But also, you can't forget that the Cowpart Bros Podcast is available to listen and subscribe for free wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And folks, if you like us, hell, why wouldn't you?
That's right, folks. Y'all know what it is. Like I said, it's the podcast to hear. So make sure you live it, love it, do it. Be a good Cowpart Bros stalker. Listen up and watch good.
All right. Coming up in the first segment, we're going to talk about a tale as old as time. You got a holiday, you got Black Friday, and now it comes, everybody's going to start buying a ton of shit that maybe some of these folks can or cannot afford. I'm referencing an article from CNBC where the journalist Ryan Brown, how buy now, pay later became a $100 billion industry. He states that buy now, pay later is having a moment. Millions of shoppers now use a buy now, pay later service to finance their purchases. And the options are more varied than ever. You've got something called Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. I know for a fact that PayPal has an option as well. Amazon is starting to expand their options with some of those buy now, pay later partners. And I know Square is getting involved in that space as well, since they just bought Afterpay in a $29 billion deal. These buy now, pay later companies, Jason, tout their service as a better alternative to credit cards, but many critics are worried that many people are spending more than they can afford, and that some may not even realize they're getting into debt. So what is buy now, pay later, and why is it suddenly booming? Now, the buy now, pay later is basically a point of sale loan. It lets shoppers pay for their items over a period of installments. This isn't a new concept, by the way. Jason, you remember layaway, right?
Of course, absolutely. I never took advantage of it myself, but I definitely know it was a thing when I was a kid. It's a phrase that I heard on TV all the time, mentioned amongst friends, household members, and things like that. So, yes, am familiar with the term and service known as layaway.
Yeah. So all of these buy now, pay later merchants are they're effectively, kind of greasing the wheels of commerce, if you will. If you didn't have the money right then and there, for some people, if they're cash poor, for example, might look at this as an opportunity to kind of bridge their way between now and tax season, or maybe things are just a little tighter around the holidays. And so I brought this up as a topic because really, when we talked about this potentially as a topic, you had a lot of strong opinions about a service like this, and I really would like to know, now that you know what it is, and what they're doing. Um, how do you feel about it?
So a few times now, I've been known to punt on the show, and I'm gonna do it again right now.
No, no,
So,
no. You can't. You can't. You can't punt on this because you was too damn loud in the production meeting.
but there's a
Now,
reason. But the reason why I want to punt a little bit here, because I'm gonna before I go into it, I just have one question. Why is it that you wanted to talk about this topic?
because bro, we just had Thanksgiving. Black Friday went down. Cyber Monday is here. Oh, plus I just got a new fridge, so there's that too. So
Did you use buy now, pay later?
I definitely put it on credit. I didn't have $3,000 laying around.
Thank you for indulging me in that, and I can punt whenever I want. You know why? Because it's my show,
You,
and I can do that.
you you're punting because I'm waiting it. You're burying the lead. I would love to know what you actually think about a service like buy now pay later.
Well,
You
I'm
see, you
I'm going to get into it, but again, I just want to ask you that question. So let me get into it now that I asked my question. Uh, so a lot of stuff you just said in the opening there kind of triggers what I'm going to talk about. Yes, I said triggered, but I'm not triggered. You said yeah, but anyway, you said for people who don't have the money now, people I can't remember the exact term you said, but you said something about people that are poor, something like that, or poor now, whatever you want to call
cash
it.
cash
No,
poor is what I said.
thank you, cash
Specific.
poor. Thank you. People that are cash poor, but basically, like you said, people who ain't got the money now, or i.e., they can't really afford it. So, so you buy these things for Christmas. Now you bought a fridge, so I'll say something that's needed. So I'm not talking about that. But people who
I
go
know
and
you're
they
not talking about me.
or no. I said I'm not talking about that. I didn't say I wasn't talking about you. I said I'm not talking about that purchase. Get it right. But what I'm saying is people who can't afford whatever item they're going to buy for the holidays because they're cash poor, as might want to call it. So they go out, you either use their credit cards, max that out, or they use these buy now, pay later services so they can get the item they want. Not talking about needs, talking about wants. So they get the item they want, and now all of a sudden they couldn't afford it now, but all of a sudden they're going to be able to afford paying extra money on top of that later. Again, for an item that they want. So I personally, again, not that I'm a financial guru, so I know you're going to throw that term out there at me, so don't go there. I'm not a financial guru, but to me that always seemed kind of stupid for. And you mentioned yesterday when it comes to, I can say that from my perspective because I'm a single person when it comes to not having a wife or kids. Okay. Well, personally, I think it's probably even more important for somebody who is married and has kids to not be as financially frivolous as to go into even more debt for an item that or items again that are wants not needs, and for items that are more short term value for long term debt. And I know I said that yesterday, and again, I meant it because obviously you're going into debt over this. If you're, spending, thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars like some people do for an item, for say you're buying, your kids or a spouse something that's really not even that meaningful, it's something that makes them happy right now, that a year from now is going to be forgotten about when it's time to buy the next year's gift. So, and that's what I say by long term debt for short term value. And I know
Okay.
you have something to say, so go ahead.
No, I was saying that was actually a well thought out response because you countered it with, well, if you have a family, you even need to be more diligent in terms of being mindful of the long-term impact to your financial picture. So I appreciated that sentiment. One thing I am going to ask you though, what if it's does your opinion change on this if it's not an item but an event?
I know I'm going to regret asking that. But when you say event, like what, for example, are you talking about?
like a vacation, my guy, because you said item. And what I was conveying is that sometimes it's not an item.
In a way, I say that's probably even worse. Um, okay, because so the thing with vacations, yes, they can be long lasting memories. So in some regard, that can be potentially of more value in that regard. But in the regard I was really talking about, it's probably even more short term because that vacation might be what, a week long, 2 week long, and all of a sudden, pretty much that value is dead. But here's that stacks of debt, stacks of debt out there that still remains. So, and all you really have is that memory. And let's be honest here, that memory may be good, and you don't know that vacation is really gonna be that great when you paid for it. Yeah, you went to throw out a random vacation destination, great. But is there any guarantee you're gonna have a great time there? No.
There are no guarantees. But I think what I'm hearing is that regardless if it's for an event or if it's just thing X, um, you've kind of made your line in the sand basically, so that it you would not put a vacation on a credit card or a buy now pay later scenario.
I would not.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna ask you then. What is a scenario in which you would consider a want to put basically how much um how much time would you say, even if you didn't have the money, would be an acceptable, let's say, oh, I'm gonna pay this off in a month, 3 months, what have you?
So, so you're asking me specifically. Me personally, I wouldn't do anything like that at all. As far
Right,
as
but what I'm saying is you wouldn't do that, but you know people that do. And we can't have a scenario in which, well, it's zero tolerance versus, oh, well, we have zero plan for ever paying the shit back. So I'm curious, what's the sweet spot? Like there has to be something in the middle.
I can't answer that because to me there is no sweet spot. That's me based off my, again, personal opinions as a non-financial expert. But I don't think there is a sweet spot. If you, when it comes to your wants, if you can't afford it now, then that's your science, and you don't need it.
All right. Here's another question I have for you. How are you defining wants?
Okay, I know this is something you love when it comes to me answering a question with a question. But do you know what needs are?
Well, again,
Yeah, so that's your answer. Anything that's not a need, there's a want, and there's only
right.
so
But
few.
what I'm
And there's
saying,
only hang on. There's only so few needs out there, and I think we all know excuse me. I think you and I both know as intelligent individuals what a need actually is. So if
well,
it's not one of
well,
that, then there's a want.
well, Jason, at one point or in an earlier episode, you were trying to tell me that, oh, well, we're not going to need brick and mortar schools because of COVID, and that has proven not to be true. So what I'm saying is, I want to hear from you specifically where you draw the line.
Listen, Slick. When it comes to that thing about the schools, what I said was we shouldn't need it because again, pandemic situation going on, and obviously there's a history of schools being able to work remotely, whether people liked it or not. That was there, correct? Okay, and then again, not go off subject here, so I'm not going to go more into that. But what I said was we shouldn't have a need for it, but there was. What I was saying is a need, like you mentioned, you had to buy a fridge. That's a need. You have to keep your food cold or frozen. That's a need. Do we agree on that?
It depends.
I'm, I,
It depends. Depending on your definition, I should be good to go at least until, because of Chicago weather, I should be good to go until at least until February.
listen. I just said a fridge. Now, Now, I can't speak to what kind of fridge you bought. That's none of my business. But I'm just saying, in general, a fridge is a need. I'm willing to put that in there that a fridge is a need. Okay. So, again, you as an intelligent adult can know what goes into the need category versus wants. I'm not going to go into specifics because I think I'm giving you credit here that you're an intelligent enough human being to know
I
what a
think
need is.
I think what you don't want to acknowledge is that it's not as black and white as you would like it to be.
It actually kind of is. Okay. Put it this way: if you're out there buying, big screen, flat screen TVs for Christmas, going in a huge debt over that, that's not a need. That's a want. Do we agree on that?
Whether I agree with you is irrelevant. You were the one
You
making the hard and fast rule about what was a want versus a need.
and I'm answering your question. You asked me what's a want versus a need, basically, and I'm answering your question. A TV is a want because no one needs a TV. I'm not. No one's gonna die because they don't have a TV. Okay.
Catherine Brown might, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, again, sorry, Ms. Brown. That may be a strong want where it feels like you need it, but it ain't a need. It's a strong want. Okay. So I answered your question. Do you have any further, questions you have about what I just said?
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I kind of figured you might be. Okay.
No, no, no. I think, and Jason, feel free. You're obviously disagreeing, but I don't think it's as black and white as you would like it to be. And a lot of times, this comes with a lot of judgment for, oh, well, why are you buying that? Why are you? And so you're only approaching it from the perspective that you have, and I'm only approaching it from this perspective that I have. I'm not saying one's right or wrong, because ultimately, I'm not. Listen, you're not a financial guru, and guess what? Neither am I.
I'm not pretending to be. I'm just saying, if you can't afford something now that you don't cash in your pocket, that's might be a good sign that maybe you don't need to buy this certain thing. If it's not, again, not a fridge, if it's not, you know, paying the light bill, paying the heat bill, food in the fridge, you know.
No one's doing buy now, pay later because of ComEd, dog.
I'm
Come
I'm
on.
I'm referring to credit in general, credit cards, buy now, pay later, whatever it is. The whole credit concept. If you want to apply it to buy now, pay later, great. So apply that same concept to buying your Christmas gifts, whether it's on credit card or buy now, pay later. If you can't afford it right now, there's a good chance you ain't gonna be able to afford it later. I found an article I pulled up. Basically, it's from UPI.com. Basically, it went into that a survey that was taken via creditkarma.com, which most people are probably familiar with, that said that 34% of the people that, you know, I'll go and say went into debt using these buy now, pay later services, 34% of them defaulted on their payments after the fact. 34%. Now I will say that maybe it has just been one payment, could have been two, whatever. But still, the fact that they defaulted on a payment. And obviously, we know when you don't miss a payment when it comes to your credit, it's going to mess up your credit. So now you mess up your credit for a 50-inch TV. Now, again, like we said 3 times now, we're not financial gurus, but to me, that seems kind of stupid.
I I think one thing that I wanted to pinpoint was number one. It is a debt instrument. Like, it's still debt. Like, you're still making a bet that, oh yeah, I'm gonna have that later. I also wanted to point out that the afterpays, the Klarnas, the PayPal's, the Affirms, they're becoming a lot more popular with the younger generation, and I think that's why we're seeing more of a concern, because we're talking about financial literacy, um, regarding our young people in the United States. So, um, I don't think that the debt instrument is bad. I think The issue is, as with any debt instrument, is okay, know what you're getting into before you get in over your head.
I agree.
I I also think that part of the reason why a lot of these buy now pay later instruments have become more popular. Number one, COVID shut down a ton of shit. Um, you know, some of these merchants, frankly, relied a lot on buy now pay later, um, and they're definitely taking their cut of the action. So, but yeah, I think the debt instrument on its own is not bad. I think it's the knowledge that you have to handle with care.
You referenced younger generation. I mean, I referenced an article from UPI, which is also referenced in the article I found from CNBC. And this survey was released in September, but it does mention that 25% of millennials have missed one payment, while 30% of Gen Z respondents have missed two, at least two. Excuse me, at least one or at least two. Um, Now again, I don't know how these plans work when it comes to Affirm and all this other stuff. When it comes to how many payments you have to make, I think I was reading on their website there is an option, Affirm's website. There's an option to have zero interest if you pay it, in 3 months, like 90 day same as cash, basically. Um, but there were other options they had where you're paying 15% interest, 1 to 5% interest for having payments longer than that, like 9 or 12 months or whatever it may be. So putting that out there as well. And again, that's just one of the companies you mentioned, 5 or 6 of them earlier. I had a list of them pulled up, but I don't think that really matters at this point now. But yeah. So, but again, I just bring that up to kind of coincide with what you said when it comes to the younger generation and financial literacy and accuracy. When it comes to, like, I agree with you, knowing what you're getting into. You know, I'm sure you went to college, as I'm sure many of our listeners did. I'm sure you remember, freshman year, you had those people trying to sell all the freshman credit cards and whatnot like that, right? And I was,
T-shirts,
yeah, right,
T-shirt.
boom, exactly. I was one of those. I was one of them. They got the free T-shirt, signed up for a credit card, and and when I was 18 or maybe 17, whenever I got, I don't remember that, but I'm sure I didn't fully know financial literacy. I knew it was a credit card. I knew you could use it, and now you have to pay it back, right? Um, and I feel like I know for a fact I remember correctly. It started off pretty well. I started making payments, and all of a sudden, whatever happened, I didn't make one, and that turned into two and more, and so forth. And guess what? Now all of a sudden, here I am, at a young age, like the people mentioned in the survey. Now I have less than perfect credit because of this credit card I got for a free T-shirt when I was in college. So, so yeah, I definitely agree with you, knowing what you're getting into. I mean, credit cards are pretty simple, but it's also about responsibility as well. You know,
The fact that they have to sell them in such a way, they do not sound simple.
well, I mean, that's just marketing, man. I mean, I hate to say it this way, but that's just simple marketing. If you know you're trying to sell to, college students, that a free T-shirt or anything free like that, something simple and free, it's going to work to get someone to do something when they're, focused on, I want that free T-shirt. Now all I got to do is sign up for a credit card. Seems
Yeah,
for an 18-year-old, it seems pretty simple, right? Free T-shirt.
yeah,
All I got to do is sign up for a credit card, which doesn't mean anything. But again, even if you know better, the opening up a credit card itself is actually meaningful. So,
yeah. It's not the opening up of the credit card; it's the what you do after it, and 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 if you start basically just opening up one after the other, so
well, even with the one though, it's like, because even if somebody wants a free T-shirt, they decide to sign up for the credit card and just say, "Well, I just won't use it." Okay, that may be a good mentality to have until you get into a position where you want to use it or need to use it because, well, I'm between paychecks, working in the school cafeteria, and I need some food. What are you gonna do? So even though in that situation obviously it's a need, as far as getting food in general, still for somebody who may not be as responsible in general, because most 18-year-olds aren't very responsible. I'm sure we can agree on that, as I'm sure you're going to find out here pretty soon. But
I wasn't even thinking about like the 18-year-old scenario. I was thinking more in terms of, listen, life happens, shit happens, emergency happens. You got to have some sort of plan B. You feel me?
exactly, emergency. I agree with you on that. Emergency, which is a need. And I'm sorry, but buying Christmas gifts for anybody is not an emergency and it's not a need.
Well,
And
agree to disagree. Agree to disagree.
bro,
Grinch Ross.
seriously, okay, you're going to sit here and tell me that buying a Christmas gift is a need.
I'm not listening to anyone on this that doesn't have kids.
See, and
I
that's
didn't say.
see, and
I
that,
didn't.
no,
I
no,
didn't
no, no, no,
listen.
no, no, no. So
I didn't
it
say.
doesn't
I
matter if I
didn't
have kids or
say.
not. It doesn't matter if I have kids or not. It doesn't matter. Buying
It
Christmas
doesn't
gifts for
matter to you.
no,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't
matter to
matter. It
you.
doesn't matter. Period. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Buying your kids or spouse a Christmas gift is not a need. Guess what? They might be mad they don't have anything, but guess what? They'll get the f over it. So it's not a need, it's a want. It's a want because you say it's a need because you want to keep your kids happy. But again, want to keep them happy, right? And I'm not talking about you, Terrence. I'm talking about you in general to any parent out there of any younger kids.
I would venture to say that just because someone wants to look, just because you get someone gifts doesn't mean you got to go and get them the fucking PS5 or the new Xbox and shit. You're literally throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and that's my issue with your sentiment.
Okay. Short of you buying your kids underwear and socks, like a 95-year-old grandma. No offense, grandma. I appreciate the socks and underwear. Thank you. But short of you buying your kids that, which I know most parents aren't doing, if we're being real here, Terrence Brown, as I'm sure you aren't either, which is not a judgment, but I'm just saying that again, you're not buying kids needs, as of most parents aren't buying the kids needs. Getting them a PS5. Not, I know you're not doing that, but giving them a PS5 or an iPhone or whatever parents get their kids these days for Christmas. And again, not calling out you specifically,
You don't even know. That's the best part.
because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Name any gift. I'm not saying what you're getting. I'm not saying tell us what you're getting your kids, but I'm saying name any gift that a parent's going to get their kids for Christmas. I don't care if it's 2021 or 1985. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're getting them is not a need. It's a gift to make them happy, which is fine. I get that, but it's not a need. Okay, and I don't care what parents in the background may have a problem with me saying this. They can at me. They can come at me. Don't care. Whatever gift you're getting your kids for Christmas, again, short of underwear and socks, which I know no parents getting, is not a need.
Well, that concludes our first segment on the Grinch that financed Christmas, Mr. Jason Ross. Coming up next, we'll be talking about the fan misconduct regarding one LeBron James. Coming up next on Cal Park Bros.